Namaste, sir.
Namaste.
And welcome to the program Light on the Path. Through this conversation with you, sir, we hope to throw some light on the path you have traveled so far. And we also do hope that it will be helpful to others to find their path and travel on it with enthusiasm and dedication. So thank you very much, sir, and welcome to the program.
Bharat Ratna, Professor Chintamani Nagesa Ramachandra Rao, popularly known as C.N.R. Rao, is a world-renowned chemist whose contributions to solid-state and structural chemistry over the last 50 years are profound and outstanding. He has authored around 1,600 research publications, 51 books, and has been bestowed with honorary doctorates from 80 universities around the world. In 2014, he became the third scientist after C.V. Raman and APJ Abdul Kalam to receive India's highest civilian award, the Bharat Ratna.
Professor C.N.R. Rao.
Rao's academic prowess began at an early age at home, where he was taught mathematics, Hindu literature and English by his parents, mother Nagamma Rao and father Hanumanta Nagesa Rao. Having joined middle school at a tender age of 6 in 1940, the prodigy soon found himself teaching his classmates despite being the youngest. As India began her journey as an independent democracy in 1947, young Rao was on the cusp of his own journey, having entered college. A bachelor's degree in Bangalore was quickly followed by a Master's of Science from Banaras Hindu University and a PhD in chemical physics from Purdue University in USA by the time he was 24 years old. His postdoctoral work was conducted at the University of California, Berkeley, after which he returned to India as faculty at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He published his first book, Ultraviolet and Visible Spectroscopy, in London in 1960, and his second book titled Infrared Spectroscopy in the US in 1963. While most of his early research was on molecular structure and spectroscopy, he started exploring solid-state and materials chemistry. Never one to rest his laurels, Rao has been tirelessly teaching since 1959, often saying one of the best parts of his career has been working with young students and watching India grow from a poor country to a superpower in its own right. He remains a visiting professor at several prestigious universities around the world. He is currently the National Research Professor, Linus Pauling Research Professor and Honorary President of Jawaharlal Nehru Centre for Advanced Scientific Research in Bengaluru, which he founded in 1989. He currently serves as the head of the Scientific Advisory Council to the Prime Minister of India. Professor C.N.R. Rao has been conferred several prestigious awards and medals like the S.N. Bose Medal by the Indian National Science Academy, Royal Society of Chemistry London Medal, Marlowe Medal by the Faraday Society of England, Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize for Science and Technology, C.V. Raman Award by the Indian National Science Academy, Harvosky Gold Medal by the Czechoslovak Academy of Sciences, Hughes Medal by the Royal Society, Abd Salam Medal by the World Academy of Sciences, Platinum Medal from the Indian Association of Nanoscience and Nanotechnology, to cite a few. Government of Karnataka honoured Professor C.N.R. Rao with Karnataka Ratna. He has also been awarded the Great Cross of the National Order of Scientific Merit from the President of Brazil, Knight of the Legion of Honor, France, Order of Friendship by the President of Russia, and the Order of the Rising Sun, Gold and Silver Star of Japan. Professor C.N.R. Rao is married to Indumati Rao and they have 2 children, Sanjay and Suchitra. Professor Rao always emphasizes on the need for science to percolate to end users and general public for raising the scientific awareness and temperament that leads to the overall development of the society and nation as a whole.
I think, sir, we can start at the beginning. That is, what are your earliest memories of your childhood?
Well, I remember everything after the age of 4.
Yes, sir.
I remember there was an argument between my father and mother about going to school.
Oh, I
my
see.
father is in the education department. Of
But that is which place, sir?
right in here. And then I was born in Bangalore.
Bangalore.
So my mother said, no, he's not going to any school, I'm going to teach him.
Oh,
So my
I see.
mother was my first teacher.
Uh-huh.
I went only the second year of the middle school.
Okay.
I didn't go to primary and all that.
All that, okay.
And she was an outstanding teacher.
Maths and everything.
She was very
everything.
good in arithmetic.
Oh, I see.
Excellent.
Was that the foundation she
Yeah,
laid?
she was my great teacher. No doubt
That's
about
wonderful.
that. Yeah.
But do you also remember, sir, the area around your workplace
Well, you know
and
what I
childhood?
remember is Bangalore. I'll never forget.
Yes, sir.
Because my grandfather was a teacher in a college here, in the government intermediate college,
Okay.
ladies intermediate college, something like that.
Oh, I see, sir.
Everybody walked in Bangalore. There was no transportation. A few buses were there, and if you want to go to buy vegetables or fruit, you walked all the way to City Market.
City Market.
Nobody complained about that.
Yes, sir.
I remember my grandfather saying, "Why don't you walk with me? Let us go and buy some fruit and come back."
Yes,
I would
sir.
go all the way. I would be about 5 or 6 years,
Yes,
six
sir.
years old,
Yes, sir.
and it was full of trees. You know, it is a
Yes,
very
sir.
pleasant, quiet city. No noise, no
Yes, sir.
transport,
Yes, sir.
hardly any bus.
Yes,
but
sir.
to the area in Baswangudi where we were, there was just one bus coming between Malleshwaram and Baswangudi once a hour. Otherwise, there were no buses in
Yes,
Bangalore.
yes, sir.
There were no cars.
Yes, sir.
When I went to college much later, I was one of the few who had a bicycle.
Yes, sir.
So I used to go by bicycle to Central College. In fact, there were no cars, it was just a few bicycles. That's
Yes, sir.
about it.
Yes. So bicycles also, were it very popular in many people or that
the
also?
entire Central College when I was an undergraduate,
Yes, sir.
there were 8 or 10 of us who had
Oh,
bicycles.
bicycles. Oh, I see,
Everyone
sir.
walked.
But before that, the school itself, sir, do you have, say, your friends in the
Yeah,
schools
in
and
the
the
middle
atmosphere,
school, in the middle school and high
teachers?
school, I was much younger than the rest of the class. I was
Oh,
very
I see,
young
sir.
because I finished my high school exam at age of 13.
Yes, sir.
So, but I was always kind of had some leadership quality. I used to write a lot. And, I
Write about what, sir?
write in Kannada, all kinds of things.
Okay,
stories,
poems and stories?
poems,
Oh, that's
and
very
then I used to act in plays in the school.
Oh, that's very nice.
So I was quite, and also I was part of the school band up to the age of 30. That's all up to the age of
Quite
30.
an all-rounder, sir.
Yeah, not very really, but I was not good in sports. I was good in talking.
Right.
So I always was talking a lot. And
Debate, sir?
debate. Yeah, I won a lot of prizes in debating, both in English and Kannada.
Yes, sir.
And then a lot of people had trouble in science and mathematics. I used to teach a lot of my friends.
Oh, I see.
That became
I
a very
see.
amazing experience for me.
Yes,
I
sir.
forgot much later. I realized, my God, what I was doing was, without knowing that I was teaching, I was helping a lot of students,
Yes,
my
sir.
own friends.
Yes, sir.
In fact, some of them are very good cricketers, and they were all very good in sports. Some other.
Some group, do you recollect, sir,
Yeah,
friendship with some special
particularly
friendship
one group
bonds?
I'll remember when I was about 15, 16. You know, the national movement, don't forget, was
Yes,
very,
yes. I was going
very
to come to that,
strong.
but yeah.
1942,
Yes, sir.
when I was still in middle school, you know, we had everywhere demonstrations, Quit India movement.
Quit,
My father was a big nationalist, though he was a government servant.
Yes, sir.
He used to tell me, talk to me. My father talked to me in English at home.
Oh,
Because he
I
said,
see.
since my mother taught everything else, English you should know how to. It was very good, very good
Yes, sir.
in that. And so we used to discuss all kinds of national problems. He never treated me as a child. That was I owe a
that's
lot to
wonderful, sir.
that. He would ask me, what is your opinion about something? I would be 10 years old.
Yes, sir.
And most parents don't do that.
Yeah,
And I never said no to anything I said. It was reasonable. I said, very good, very good. He would say.
Oh, I see. That's wonderful, sir. So this must have, I'm sure, helped you in later, years.
I tell
this
you,
mother and father.
everybody told me, I got a high rank in BSc
Yes, sir.
in 1950 or 51.
Yes, sir.
And then everybody said, you must go to IAS, you know,
Yeah.
just go through.
Yes,
In
sir.
fact, some of my relatives were old civil servants,
Yes, sir.
all
I
kinds
see,
of
yes.
things. They all said, you must do that. I said, no, I want to do science. By that time, I had already sort of felt I should
Oh,
do
so
science.
quite early, sir, you had decided that science is going
Because
to be
one
your
of my
calling.
teachers and also friends whom I knew had gone to Benares to do his MSc.
Yes.
He showed me a thesis, a paper with his name on it. Hey, how do आपका नाम कैसा आ गया paper में? अरे भाई, when you do research,
Work,
you
yeah.
can publish paper. Oh, yeah, your name on it? He said, yeah, you can do that. I think you should go to Benares. Somehow
Oh, I
that
see.
Benares bug got me.
Oh, I see.
And that was when I was probably about 15 or 16.
Yes, sir.
So after my bachelor's degree, I told my father, I don't want to be in Bangalore. I want to go to Benares. He said, why not? Indian Institute of Science
Yeah.
gave me admission. So I don't want to be in IISc also. So those days
Actually.
to get degree through IISc was difficult. It was not a degree giving university.
yes, yes.
So very complex. But instead of that, I would rather go to
No,
BD.
actually, I was going to ask you, sir, how you chose Banaras, but
Mainly
you have
because
already covered
Benares,
this.
the master's degree in Benares, partly by thesis research, partly by coursework.
Right,
So you
sir.
could write a thesis for MSc. And in fact, I published 3 papers for my MSc thesis.
Oh.
One was just my name on it in a very famous
Major.
magazine even today called Science.
Science, yeah, Science,
I
yes,
published
yes,
in
yes.
Science.
At that time,
At
sir?
that time.
That's
So just with my name. So then then you see, I suddenly found one day there was a big news in science, but nobody knew in Benares. In fact, in India, nobody reacted. There was a major discovery that revolutionized science. That was the discovery structure of a protein. That was done by Linus Pauling.
Yes, sir.
And India, nobody talked about proteins, biology. You know, we had just got freedom at that time.
Yes, sir.
And I said, my God, this Pauling, you know, I is something. He had written a famous book,
Yes,
you
sir.
may not know, which changed the status of chemistry and the way we teach chemistry,
Yes, sir.
called The Nature of the Chemical Bond.
Right, sir.
I just read that at that time. I wrote to Pauling also at that time. I didn't know.
Yes,
I was, anyway, he wrote back saying, very, thank you, but I wrote to him by mistake saying, I want to work with you on molecules.
Oh, I see, sir.
And he said, no, I don't want to work molecules anymore. I want to work on proteins. Oh, I didn't know the difference. Nobody had told me, so I didn't work with him.
Yes.
But he told me, you can, however, work with one of my very good students, with a professor in some university in America.
Yes, sir.
In fact, I said, okay, I didn't. I did go to him, and
Yes, sir.
he was my guru.
Yes, sir.
Pauling I got to know later.
Yes, sir.
In fact, I did my PhD with a person who had done
Yes,
his
sir.
work with Pauling earlier.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, I
That's
had to
how-
go to America to do
to
PhD.
do
because
PhD, yes,
that
sir.
decision I had taken
Yes,
even when I was in MSc. But before going to America for less than a year,
Yes,
I was in India.
Yes, sir.
I worked with Sarjesi Ghosh. You may not know him. He was the I was the director of the Indian Institute of Science.
Yes, sir.
He left and then started the first IIT in Kharagpur.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
Pandit Nehru, in fact,
Yes,
I
sir.
still remember Pandit Nehru's speech in that institute
Yes,
when
sir.
it started. I was one of the first research students of it.
Oh, I see,
And
sir.
then, but
Oh,
I didn't stay long. I told him, you know, I want to do modern chemistry. Here it is difficult. He
Yes,
said,
sir.
okay, I think you should. He was a very good man. He said, I think you should go to America. It
America,
was very
indeed.
good for you.
Right, sir.
So I left.
Sir, since one of the idea behind this program is to try and know some things which were you are not disclosed so far, maybe something. So in the childhood, see, did you play some pranks on friends and relatives? Some little bit, not much, sir.
Not of that kind. What I tell you, what I used to do.
Yes, sir.
See, this national movement business was a very big thing.
Right,
It got my imagination. You know, the Quit India movement, Salt Satyagraha.
Yes, yes.
Those I was not old enough to do
Yes,
Satyagraha. But there used to be processions in Bangalore. One of my father's friends was in the police department.
Oh,
I will never forget when Ramanna was his name.
Oh, I see.
And he said, you know, I will tell him also, you should never go to the procession. He used to tell me. But secretly I would go.
You go.
You know, nobody knew. I was very young.
Such
But,
things were there.
and of course, many of the people used to be arrested at that time. There was one K.T. Bharshyam was a big leader from Bangalore.
K.T. Bharshyam, yes,
So
sir.
he was
Bharshyam
the
Circle, there is a
Bharshyam
place,
Circle.
yes.
He was later become minister and all
Yes,
that.
yes, yes.
And a lot of people, I mean, you know, it was a very amazing experience.
Atmosphere.
Particularly, you know, for a young person, you know, Gandhi and all. I tell you, what happened was in school,
Yes, sir.
this was the Gandhiji came to Madras, and we had a very good, nice teacher. He said, "Any student who wants to see Gandhiji, I will take you to Madras."
Oh, I see.
Then I told my father, I want to see Gandhiji. But no, wasting 5 rupees, you know. No, I said no. Those days 5 rupees was a lot.
yes.
I pestered him. You must 5 rupees. I want to go.
Yes,
I
sir.
said, okay, you can go there. You know, we just went overnight train. Say Gandhiji through till evening, late night train we took and came back.
Came back.
That's the only time I saw Gandhiji.
Oh, I see.
You know, that was, you know, these are all
But must have been a
experience- you know,
lasting
you know,
experience, sir.
There is no experience that is similar to that. It's exciting.
Right, wonderful.
I saw Gandhiji. I have seen Gandhiji in my life once.
Yes, yes, sir.
And that was in 1945.
Do you also recollect something about the first Independence Day, sir?
Well, that's 47. I just entered college at that time.
Yes, sir.
And there was a superintending engineer of Maichad government, Venkataraman, I'll never forget him.
Yes, sir.
And he had a couple of pegs before the evening, and he was all excited.
Yes,
He had
sir.
brought drums and bugles,
oh, I
and I joined him. We all went to all over
The Basangudi area.
all over. I mean, just go through the street till midnight.
Yes, sir.
My father said, "Don't do all this madness. Then don't do all this."
Yes,
No,
sir.
but you know, I went. That I remember. And then that midnight of August 15th, there were speeches from Nehru. And we were one of the few houses where there was a radio. There were very few people had radios those days. So near the window, my father opened the window. Anybody could stand near the window, listen to speeches. So a lot of people, our neighbors came
Yes,
there.
sir. Yes,
and
sir.
Nehru's speech, oh God, I'll never forget.
That
the famous
speech you
speech.
heard,
I
sir?
heard it.
Oh,
I
wonderful.
just entered college.
Yes, sir.
Because I was good in English.
Yes,
Understanding was no problem.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
very emotional.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Saras Radhakrishnan giving speech.
Yes, sir.
I remember Radhakrishnan gave a speech because there was a time, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was half an hour time. They finished everything a bit early.
Yes, sir.
Then we never turned to Radhakrishnan. Why don't you give a speech?
Oh, I see, sir.
And
Oh,
he
it
said,
happened that way,
exactly,
sir.
I think that's what I'm told.
okay.
And he gave a speech exactly for that time.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I remember that was in 1947.
So, meeting Gandhiji, seeing Gandhiji was one of the, I think, lasting
One of
impression.
the most important happenings in my life. That, you know,
Yes, sir.
it depends on, you know, it's like saying,
Yes, sir.
when you go to Tirupati or some temple,
Yes, sir.
each one has a different reaction. Some
Yes,
people, per life, changes them.
Yes,
they
sir.
get inspiration, they get some attitudinal changes.
Yes, sir.
Seeing Gandhi was to me like that. It's okay. You know, how can, the question, even today I ask
Yeah.
in many speeches of mine, how can one man,
Yes, sir.
without telephone,
Yes,
without
sir.
planes,
Yes, sir.
without any facility of the modern
Yes,
kind,
yes, sir.
mobilize the entire nation?
A nation and
You
hold
can-
their,
so
their
in the history
respect.
of mankind,
Yes, it
nobody
is.
is there.
Yes.
So we have got 3 names like that in Indian history.
Yes, sir.
I always tell many people, even to all my colleagues,
Yes, sir.
they come to listen to my philosophical lecture.
we will like to
Lord
listen.
Buddha was one.
Yes, sir.
Unbelievable. 2,500 years ago.
Yes, sir.
He talked about enlightenment, this, that. And the entire world got to know.
Yeah.
China, Japan, from
Japan,
India,
but
in
yeah.
2,000 years.
Yes, yes.
And next is our Shankaracharya. Adi Shankaracharya was the greatest Hindu we had. You know, he created a new philosophy,
Yes, sir.
Advaita philosophy. Not only because of that.
Yes, sir.
You know, everything he did was, he would just narrate it. He never wrote down anything.
Yes, sir.
His memory, his brilliance was such,
Yes,
he
sir.
just could sing a song, immediately open, like Bhaja Govinda.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He never wrote down and composed something.
Compose something.
You know, he was another great man. How they spread the entire thing in India.
Yes, sir.
Those days, you know, this is exactly 1,300 years ago.
Yes, sir.
And of course, Gandhiji in modern times,
Yes,
how
sir.
did sit, going in a third class compartment
Yes,
all
yes.
over India.
And what respect people
What,
had.
my God, I'll never, it's we Indians don't realize
Yes, sir.
what type of man we had. As Einstein said,
Einstein says, yes, sir.
same thing. It is very
Yes,
difficult to believe we had such a man. There's no, having seen him, I must say that.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have myself seen and heard that many students, many boys and girls, in the initial up to high school or intermediate, they are very brilliant, sir. They give lot of hope and this, but somehow many of them they fitter out, sir. Sometimes we have seen, I mean, this is my personal experience also, some issues of growing up, sir. The growing up can be, I mean, if it's not handled properly. Do you?
Yeah,
I mean, the issue, any issues
the
of.
parents plays a big role, I think. Second, also, I was not marks oriented.
Ji.
I did very good first class and all that. Always I used to wonder whether this guy won Ramanna. Never forget, he was also Ramanna in my class.
Yes.
Always getting 100 out of 100. I'm very fool. What the hell is that? He's not that smart.
But how he gets it?
So those who get marks are not very usually imaginative.
Ji, sir.
That is why you must be finding out, even in competitive exam.
Yeah, competitive
the
exam,
first
sir.
rank doesn't mean he's the most brilliant
Yes,
guy.
yes, sir.
Similarly, even today, lots of people get in, we go to IIT exam, 100 out of 100, but they're not the best students we get in IIT. The thinking individual,
Yes,
a
sir.
man who questions, cannot write,
Yeah. So the
repeat
examination mark is not the hallmark
never
of
been,
yes.
never. That is why American system is much better.
Yes,
Or
sir.
Cambridge in England, where I have been a professor, the evaluation is very different. It is not just makes and marks. Marks have no meaning.
So college time, were there any favorite haunts where you and friends?
No, even when I was a child, I tell you, in your old Mysore state, well, even now,
Yes.
Karnataka,
Yes, sir.
because then it was Mysore state.
Yes, sir.
My father used to go to inspect schools and all that.
Yes, sir.
And I would go with him because I would go to all the interior Malnad area, see our mountain hills,
Yes, sir, yes.
coffee plantation. He
Yes,
wanted
sir.
me to see all that.
Yes, sir.
So this going out to this kind of outside to mountains, and particularly mountains,
Yes, sir.
is even now I go to Himalayas every year.
Oh, wonderful, sir.
For many years, every year.
So that time also in Karnataka, you used
Karnataka, I used to go to
to.
Baba mainly. But then there again, the interior Malnad, I don't know whether you have been there. There are places where very few human beings used to go there.
Yes, sir.
And there would be schools. My father saying, is that school ever working or is it a bogus school? The teacher is saying the salary.
Yes, sir.
So we wanted to walk and see.
See.
We used to go with two people with lantern. I've seen bears at a distance, a tiger walking like that.
Why see?
In
It must have been a wonderful experience. sir.
So animals have made a big thing in my. Even now, every year we go to
Yes,
look for tigers,
Yes, sir.
animals all over the world,
Yes, sir.
particularly in India.
Yes, sir.
And then going to the mountains.
Sir, you chose Banaras, you already told that. And I'm sure for you to go from here to an entirely different type of place, I mean, what adjustment do you think you had to make, sir?
I don't know how I did it. My father put me in a compartment, and some of my cousins.
Direct
also.
train it was the direct train, sir?
No. I tell you, it went through Itarsi. Unbelievable. And eventually, after 2.5 days, I reached Banaras. And then I didn't know in Hindi at that time enough to, in few words, not much.
Yes, sir.
Then I took a cycle rickshaw and go to Banaras University.
Yes, sir.
And then I don't know how I did that. And more frightening was after MSc, after that, when I was about just 20 years old,
Yes, sir.
when I decided to go to America, my father, I made all the arrangement by booking a ticket.
Yes,
You had to go only by boat. 22.5 days, I had to go by boat
Yes, sir.
to reach New York.
Yes, sir.
So I don't know how I did that. Even now it amazes me. But I don't know, some courage somewhere I had.
Yes. Language, was it a very big problem? Language
Hindi,
and food?
Without knowing any Hindi,
It
going
must
to
have been,
Banaras,
but-
those days, you see, very few people spoke English in the north.
Yeah, very good.
And after a few days, I was quite all right. I got to know people. But going to America was a
Even
very big experience. Very few Indians those days went to
those days
America.
went to. But sir, Banaras also, apart from academics, Banaras is a place which is extremely. So, what were your other activities other than during that period?
Perennial
Banaras?
city.
Yes, sir.
I have a wonderful book published by Princeton University Press about the greatness of Benares, the city of light.
Okay.
Benares,
City of light,
Kashi
yes.
means Kashi
Ah,
means
Kashi.
Kashyate.
Yes,
In
yes.
Sanskrit, it's
Which
city of light.
Mhm.
So it is, you know, it is a question, you know, you can see Benares and say, "Itna ganda hai, wo
yeah.
acha nahi."
Yeah.
That is one possible reaction.
One-
Another is, you can get spiritually, other philosophically,
Yes, sir.
you can get to better man. And Benares, those temples, where there is Sankat Vimochan, Vishnu, you can't help but be influenced by those things.
Yes, sir.
I used to go every week to Vishwanath
Vishwanath temple.
and Sankat Vimochan temple.
Yes, sir.
And second, you know, there's something like, you know, our Sanskrit Mahavidyalaya, everybody spoke Sanskrit. I was amazed.
Yes, sir.
More than that, we had a wonderful music college. Omkarnath Thakur was the principal.
Yes,
That is
sir.
where my love for music started.
Oh, I see,
You had to pay 4.5 to attend a concert.
Oh, I see.
And I used to go to all the concerts he arranged.
In Banaras.
Benares.
sir.
So I mean, even now I love North Indian music. I
And
don't-
so you heard Omkarnath Thakur
Oh,
himself,
Omkarnath.
sir,
And
many
my
times.
student, Raja, a lot of people.
Yes,
A lot of, I used to, you know, those days, I remember our Ravi Shankar and all. Ravi Shankar Lal didn't get much chance in those days. He would get early evening concert
Yes, sir.
when nobody would be there.
Yes, sir.
Midnight, you know, Bade
okay.
Ghulam Ali Khan.
Ji, ji, sir.
And all the unbelievable people,
Unbelievable,
you know.
sir. Oh, wonderful,
I used
sir.
to see. And then once I heard Paluskar, who died at a very
Digambar
young age.
Paluskar, sir.
Digambar Paluskar. And you know, his students, as you know, Thakur himself was a
Yes.
student.
Yes, sir.
And it is fantastic that even today,
Oh, sure.
music is my biggest love. I listen to you
So-
every afternoon, 1 hour, half in the night also.
Oh,
every day.
that's such a wonderful thing, sir, to
Yeah.
to know that now, as well as earlier also, when you pursuing a career in science,
Yeah.
music
Yeah,
and these
music,
things
yeah.
were always
Yeah.
your.
I think that is the problem about education. You would ask me earlier.
Yes, sir.
Why people, you know, become very narrow-minded, highly discipline-oriented, highly career-oriented. They want to make money. That's the wrong thing. Instead of that, they want to be cultured. They want to be good,
Yes, sir.
you know, educated people. Educated people are those who have many interests.
Yes, sir. Yes.
They're like my father. But that is another thing if I should mention. You know, when I was about 8 or 10, he would bring me all kinds of, you know, Three Musketeers, all the old classics.
Yes, sir.
Tale of Two Cities.
Yes, sir.
He made me read all those things. My God. My mother would do scriptures, reading Mahabharata, Ramayana. I knew backwards and forwards when I was young. He made me do that.
So quite wonderful science plus all
Yeah,
these
yeah.
things, because life cannot be one-sided, sir.
Yeah,
I
that,
mean,
you know, my mother was very spiritual and always playing this, and she was very good in this Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavata, and all that.
Yes,
She
sir.
learned Bhagavad Gita by many things I knew by heart those days. So it was
Sir,
very nice.
wha-
That
wha-
background was useful.
What about, sir, films? Did you had any interest
No,
in
no,
going
no.
to films anytime? or
Only when
something?
Benares I started going to films
I
when I was
see.
in MSc. Otherwise.
Any particular film do you remember, sir, or any hero
Well,
or
I
hero?
know. One thing is when we got married, I went. Chaudhagin ke Chand. I will never forget that. Otherwise, you know, I always like Raj Kapoor's film.
Raj Kapoor's film.
Avara.
Jagte Raho Avara, yes.
These are all in my MSc days.
Oh, I see. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
I remember
wonderful.
that. Very, very, very good.
But apart from, sir, the filmy heroes and all that, in which, I mean, you had an interest only for, to the extent of entertainment or
That's it,
little.
that's it.
But, and Gandhi you mentioned, who were your other heroes at that point of time when you were studying
know,
college or
then
even
and
subsequently?
also now.
Yes, sir.
You know, I started reading a lot about history of science, the great science people have done. You know, people like, the very great people like Faraday. Even today, my biggest hero in my life is Faraday.
Coming from such a background.
Only
and
3 years of schooling.
Yes, sir.
I think he's the greatest scientist the world has ever seen.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes.
You know, how did he become with 3 years schooling?
Yes, sir.
And you know, the so-called unification of forces that Einstein eventually became famous for.
Yes,
the
sir.
idea was given by Faraday.
By Faraday,
With,
yes,
with no schooling.
Yes,
so
Sir,
even today they are my heroes.
Actually, sir, this brings me to a very question which is very difficult for us to tackle. How and how this inspiration comes to some people and doesn't come to some people, they try. But can something be said about
maybe
it?
It is a reading habit or
Yeah.
easily affected. For example, you know, some people pray and get spiritually excited.
Yes,
some
sir.
people, when they go to, nothing happens.
Nothing happens,
It is
yes.
it is a stone for
Yes,
them.
yes, sir.
So it is like that. If you appreciate science
Yes, sir.
in the proper way,
Yes, sir.
you cannot but worry about the secret of creativity. How did these people, somebody is very creative.
Yes,
I am not. Why?
Yeah.
So from the beginning I said, how did he think of this idea?
Yeah. How
So
did
even now, for example, this year is the year of the periodic table.
Yes,
How
sir.
did Mendeleev work out periodic table in 1869?
Yes, sir.
When we didn't know atoms, we didn't know electrons,
Yes, sir.
nothing was known. But he did the periodic table.
Yes, sir.
It is like that. Somehow we have to, from the beginning, be interested in the lives of great men, lives of great scientists. I think that has been very useful in my life.
But the Banaras were sort of continuation of what you wanted to do. It's nothing that a great change took place in your
no. See,
this
the
thing.
engineer is-
You were already.
How to do science and what to do in science, I didn't know.
Oh, okay, okay. So
And
that came there,
that
sir.
came in America. We had
Okay.
wonderful teachers. Then,
Okay.
I would listen to a lecture. Suddenly I say, my God, he's saying that why not some other way? So immediately I would go and look up something and write down something.
Yes, sir.
And I would go back to the professor, I worked this out. You are saying this. No, why don't you publish that? So as a student, before I started even working with many of my PhDs,
Yes, sir.
guide professor and all that,
Yes,
I
sir.
started publishing my own papers.
Yes, sir.
So by the end of, I got my PhD, I had about 20 research papers.
Yes, sir.
So that was something fantastic. Even today,
Yes, sir.
that university, they say he was the best student in the history of the university.
Oh,
Apparently,
wonderful,
that's what they say.
wonderful.
I didn't know that.
No doubt about it.
No. They are very nice to me.
Ji, sir.
And they were the first to give me an honorary doctorate
Ji, sir.
long ago. But this kind of thing. So somehow American education, the way they ask questions, the way they make you read, self-study. They don't teach you everything. They make you work out problems.
Actually, you are saying, sir, things about the system, how it is taught and all that.
Is mugging, repeating what is known. They are mugging up things. No intelligence is required. That is why 100 guys are there like that.
Yes.
There, the
What-
thinking.
what
Like,
could-
my prelim exam, I'll tell you the question.
Yes, sir.
One question was 50 out of 100 marks for that.
50 out of 100.
This
This
others
question.
were all small questions.
Yes, sir.
The question, suppose you are lost in a desert
Uh-huh.
and you have to calculate some important property and thing, and how would you do that? How would you come with a number? Find out the procedure, write down the procedure,
Yes, sir.
and make a rough calculation
Yes,
of
sir.
whatever we are saying.
Yes, sir.
Free, there are no books,
Yes, sir.
there is no library, but
You
you
are
have,
in
to, you have
desert.
to think of everything,
Yeah,
how to do that.
yes, sir.
So, they make you, they made me think.
Yeah, I think that's a big difference.
I had physics as my migraine, even though physical chemistry was my major. I learned a lot of physics. It was wonderful, but I owe a lot to American training.
That's very nice. Why it is difficult to bring in some of those things here?
I
sir?
tell you, we don't have mark system in America. It is all a grade system.
Yes, sir.
How good are you throughout the semester? Not just in one exam.
Yes, sir.
That is one thing. Second, we have to teach first. You see, our importance for education is zero in India. The value system in India is what? Money, banking, all kinds of things. Administration also.
Yes, sir.
But not for education.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, sir,
education
yes,
or music, research, they come
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
bottom.
their side is
Everything. So education, in fact, when I was advising Manmohan Singh, we had decided the next 5 years, of course he didn't get re-elected, next 5 years or 10 years we should make it a decade of teaching and teachers.
Yes, sir.
So teaching, India is in the 100th rank in teaching.
Yes, sir.
You know that school teaching?
Yes, sir.
100th or 80th rank.
In the-
First is Finland,
Oh.
second, third is Singapore. America is 25. America is not so good.
Not
in
so
school
good,
teaching.
but
School
even then
education-
they are so good.
No, there is a university they are very good. Because school education they are not very good.
No.
American education students is so. But Finland teachers are highly respected. It's very difficult to become a teacher there in Finland.
Yes,
Very easy to become an administrator. It is exactly opposite.
Yeah, opposite, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
So we have to respect teachers, educate. This value system has
Value
to change.
system.
Scholarship.
Yes, sir.
How many people have said, C.N.R. Rao, what have you written? What is your latest book? Nobody asks you. How much? They probably want to know how much money I have made. I don't have much money.
Yes, sir. No, but you have been helping so many people, sir. Lot of people, and not only here in Karnataka, but places,
All over.
remote places like Uttarakhand.
Well,
you
not
have
only
been.
that is for young people, but all over the world, I've been I have a president of the World Academy.
Yes, sir.
And all over Africa, they know me. All African countries,
Yes, sir.
trying to help poor people in Africa,
Yes, sir.
education. I've tried to do all that. That is different. But as far as value system is concerned,
Yes,
I
sir.
don't know what to do. In fact, I was just telling Yediyurappa a few days ago.
Yes, sir.
And amazingly, he is very responsive.
Receptive, sir.
He is very responsive. Even every chief minister agrees with me. We have created a vision group in science.
Yes.
Something. Karnataka is not so bad.
Yes, sir.
Something is being done for children and all that, but not enough. Not enough.
But sir, this value system change or improvement, how can it, I mean, is it a political will is required, or a social movement is required, or individuals have to, what could be the?
In fact, I was just joking the other day with a previous Prime Minister. How come nobody from on the August 15th or from Red Fort
Yes, sir.
has talked about education and science? They've talked about India doing well in business, India having the biggest army.
Yes,
So
sir.
what I'm saying is,
Yes, sir.
this is where the relative, that is where America is different. Innovation, if you are very innovative, right away you get rewarded in a way. In American thing,
That
you
is
can make.
right.
You become rich if you are innovative there.
Yeah.
So all kinds of reward systems are there. So the reward system also should be tied up to these things.
Some thinking work, sir. Original work.
Original
Innovative,
work.
original
So all
work.
this is we are lacking in that. Japan is very tough, but
Yes.
they successful, very successful. China is now, I tell you, frightening. They will beat everybody. They have more scientists than any other country in the world now.
Yes, sir.
I'm a
Yes, sir.
foreign member of the Chinese Academy.
Yes, sir.
I had gone to they made me an Einstein Professor of China,
Yes,
so I
yes,
went
sir.
all
Yes,
around
yes,
giving
sir.
lectures. I used to ask, how many students, PhD students are in your department, chemistry or
Yes,
physics?
sir.
Oh, there I think 600 or 700 students.
Oh.
How many professors? I think we have 220 professors.
Oh.
You make it one
Yes,
department.
One department, sir.
You can't.
Whole university.
They are frightening. They are frightened. They frighten me.
But
Actually, the latest
Systematically they are doing things, sir.
the latest address of the president of China, Xi.
Yeah, yeah.
He addressed all the scientists. I was invited to give a talk in that.
Yes, sir, yes.
My health was not well. Bangalore breathing problem. And last year I couldn't go. The last sentence of his speech, I repeat for India. Everyone should remember that. China was repeating something, copying things, doing
Yes,
secondary things. Those days are over.
Yeah, yeah,
We are going to leapfrog and be one of the top countries in the world in science. That's what he said.
And this is what perhaps they are
That's
doing,
what,
sir. They are doing.
this is where the nationalism, you meet little kids there.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I am Chinese Academy student.
Yes, sir.
Here nobody is so
Right.
proud even.
Yes,
However,
sir.
whatever you give them, what is there, they will say.
Yes, sir.
They this pride of national pride. I am not ashamed of saying that nationalism, not a political variety.
Not a political.
Nationalism of do good work in India.
Yes, yes.
Anything, good administration, good writing,
Yes,
everything.
everything.
Do in India.
Yes, sir.
That type of thing is very important.
Yes, sir. Of course, we have moved forward a lot in our conversation, but I would like to perhaps go back in time and say how how your marriage happened and when did it happen?
I tell you, to be honest,
Yes,
when
sir.
I was there, I had you may not know him, but there is one used to be Chief Justice of Karnataka called Justice Hombegowda.
Hombegowda, yes, sir.
Hombegowda's
Yes.
son,
Yes, sir.
he was doing PhD in Berkeley.
Okay,
And,
USA, sir.
USA. And I was a postdoc in Berkeley, California at that time.
Yes, sir.
And he used to tell me, I used to know one girl, who's daughter of a superintending engineer, and that is she was my classmate, but she
Yes,
was
sir.
doing BA honors in English.
Yes,
So
sir.
it so happened that person he was talking about was a distant relative of mine.
Okay.
That is my wife. And somehow when we came back, we met and we got married. And of course, our parents were very happy about that. So she is
Which field she works at?
she was in English BA honors from Central College, and later she got from Kanpur did MA in sociology. In America, when I was a visiting professor there, she got another master's degree in
Yes.
education psychology.
Yes, sir.
Then in Oxford, when I was a professor, she got another thing there.
Oh.
So she's been doing only for school education, children.
Yes,
They
sir.
write books for children. That's what she does.
Lot of
science education. For
So
children.
this concern for others is there in
She is
both of you,
tremendous,
sir.
yeah.
In both
she
of
is
you.
very decoded, full time, with no salary.
I
Right?
think
Of course, he was a reader in education, teacher at college here. After you retire at the age of 58 those days.
Yes, sir.
After that, now she is 82. So she has been working all these years, no money involved in this.
Yes, sir.
Voluntary work.
Work.
He is the one who is dealing with Uttarakhand people.
Okay, sir.
Or here all over. Our Lakshmeshwar, we have built a very wonderful school. There is a school called Chandan. She is dealing with them.
Okay, sir.
Wonderful school. Those children from villages, I tell you, in Karnataka, talk in English much better than all the boys in
I
Bangalore.
see.
You know, they're
that's
very good
wonderful.
in everything they do. So don't ever look down on our rural children.
Yes,
And
sir.
just because from Dehatis, they're UP, they're all Dehati fellows.
Yes, sir.
There is attitude many people have.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is not true. Actually, they are very smart. They have, you know, they have
environment is
not only
created.
curiosity, they
Yes,
know
yes.
opportunity.
Yes,
So
yes,
we have to
yes.
give that. That is why that is one of my missions
Yes,
in
sir.
life. As long as I am around, we will see
Yes,
what
sir.
we can do for our poor children,
Yes, sir.
particularly in rural areas.
Rural areas. Sir, you have been recognized all over the world. 79 universities have
Right
given
now
you
it's
the
81.
81. Okay, sir. I'm sorry.
more.
81. 1,650 research papers and more than 1 lakh citations, not to mention all this, sir, and international exposure. Do you think over the years, say your years in Bangalore, then in Banaras, we didn't talk about your Kanpur days. Maybe we'll
I'll tell you.
Yes. Sir. So, but now that we are here, this exposure, do you think you perceive any change in your attitudes, your concerns, your worldview, or something?
What has happened
during
is
these
I have
years?
always been devoted to doing science of the highest quality.
Yes, sir.
But I have done that always with young students,
Yes, sir.
training lots of PhD students have worked with me,
Yes, sir.
postdoctors from all over the world.
Yes, sir.
And then, you know, I have a peculiar competitive thing, just like in sports.
Yes, sir.
I must be as good as the best in the world.
That's wonderful.
Most people say, oh, I'm the best man in some school or college.
Yes,
That is
yes.
not enough for me.
That's not enough
There's a
for you.
joke in Kannada, you may not know. Kailasam was a funny writer, used to say, a father tells somebody, you know, my son plays wonderful football. In the first half, he scored 20 goals. Said, against which school? He says, against that blind school. so
that's
there's no point in doing well in that
type
we
of
have to do well as well as the best in the
international.
world.
Yes, sir.
That has caught me in the last few years.
Yes, sir.
That is why if you see my career up to the age of 60, like Kanpur IIT, I was
Yes,
there.
sir.
I was a young, at age 29, I had become a professor,
Yes, sir.
head of the department. We
Yes,
did a
sir.
lot of things in Kanpur.
Yes, sir.
But somehow, I left Kanpur for a year to go. And, you know, I had a visiting professorship
Yes, sir.
that by invitation in Oxford University. When I went there, that was a revelation for me. My God, the way Oxford and Cambridge, when I worked there, I said, I must build something like that in India. So I thought that is one reason I left Kanpur after 17 years.
Okay, sir.
14 years.
Yes,
So
sir.
I came back, then Satish Dhawan asked me to come back to Bangalore. I was about to leave India. That was the only time I was about to leave India.
Okay, sir.
I had agreed even with two universities to go back.
Okay.
Then Satish said, why should you want to come, Ram? You come back to Bangalore. I will create a new center for you.
Yes, sir.
And which he did, and I built a new 2 centers here. Then I became director of the institute.
Yes, sir.
That is a different thing.
Yes,
But till that age of 60, I was doing good work, tried to be competitive. Suddenly, after 60, suddenly you can see my citation, everything.
Yes,
Suddenly it got
It
up.
goes.
And even more, after 70, even more. In fact,
People
in the
should
last
notice.
10 years,
Yes,
I've
sir.
had, last 5 to 6 years, I've had maximum citations,
Oh, I see.
maximum recognition in science, after the age of 70.
Yes, sir.
So I'm a member of every academy in the world, 26
Sir,
academies.
can one ask, what is the source of your energy at the age of 85?
Energies are created in the mind. So age is in the mind. Age is nothing to do with what
Wonderful.
75, 85.
Wonderful.
They see all the 20-year-old when they walk go like that. You see, it's because they're defeated already.
Yes, sir.
I think it's in the mind. It's all age and all is a question of determination, dedication. They're important. More than that, ambition not to make money.
But
ambition
to
to
do something.
That is why I
Excellent.
wrote a book called Climbing the Limitless Ladder of Excellence.
Yeah, excellent.
I wrote a
Yes.
book on that.
Yes, sir.
There is a limitless ladder. Like inside, if you are you love music,
Yes, sir.
then you will understand. You see, music also, there is no limit to the excellence. That is how, since Kanpur days, even now I am fighting like that. I am fighting, in some area to be the best, as good as the best. For example, using sun's energy, sun's heat, can I make energy in India? Which here in the world, all kinds of things I have to work on.
Yes, sir.
But that type of ambition I have now, which is, there is no limit
I
for
think
that.
that's wonderful. I also noticed that, sir, you are on the academies and committees and commissions in USA,
No,
in
all over the
Russia,
world.
in France, and
Yeah,
Japan, and
No,
China.
I'm a member of all the academies of the
So,
world.
sir,
Yes, yes.
will you say that there is more cooperation among the nations in the field of science
Yeah,
rather than
you know,
politics or economics?
You know, it is like this.
Yes, sir.
In Kannada, there is a proverb. In Hindi also, the way you are treated depends on what you can give, and people look at you and decide, is he worth giving
Oh, yeah,
something?
yeah, yeah,
In science,
yeah.
it is very much like that. If you are really good or very good, the people treat you well, extremely well. Or you become a world citizen. You forget that you are
Yeah.
in Norway.
Yeah.
You feel you are in Bangalore
Yeah,
because
yeah.
actually you are in Norway.
Wonderful.
Like Brett just
Wonderful.
recently had been to Norway. He was here also
Wonderful.
2 weeks ago. I mean, everywhere I go, people have been very, very good to Japanese, and I don't know.
So
all
these are
over.
quite, sir, man-made and artificial
But
divisions.
Japan Academy, I'm the only 5 foreigners are members of Japan Academy. I'm one of them. Just 5 in the entire world.
Oh.
So I'm a member of all the 3 academies of the United States,
Yes,
French
yes.
Academy, Russian, of course, Russian Academy,
Yes, yes.
like that, Brazil. Well, there are a lot of countries. That is a different thing. But more than that, actually, your work should be is the one
Appreciated, yeah,
they
that's
should-
what
they,
people
they,
will
they
like.
think you're worth something.
Worth something.
Yeah, that is the thing. And people do not think of the सिफारिश से नहीं मिलेगा
जी, जी.
यहाँ तो ये सिफारिश का this is the word country for सिफारिश and in the end after out year before he died people asked me अरे भाई खान साहब और 50 साल से रियाज कर रहे हैं इससे फायदा क्या है
जी जी
अरे देखो 50 साल तो हुआ मगर what has happened अभी no understand थोड़ी रह गई
that is the attitude sir, sir,
that is the attitude
no I think sir you must say this on
is
record sir
about what perfection is I will not, I like Bismillah I said the same thing
yeah.
I was very good friend of Bismillah
Bismillah wonderful artist
Yeah,
wonderful
no,
person sir
when I
wonderful
was a student
Yes,
I used to go to his house आपका हंसना जाइए थोड़ा बजाए खाना देवोगे he never asked for money even when he never had money with a poor man
Yeah,
even
very
when he
poor,
died,
yes, yes.
how many people in Benares he used to be in the along the ghats oh my god when I known people like him people like well many people in music one Karan Thakur
oh, that's
I'll never forget it is very similar to science
yeah
of course, when you read, you must read a recent book by Pawan Verma, that
Pawan Verma, IFS
wonderful book on
officer.
Shankaracharya.
Shankaracharya. I have procured it, not yet read, sir.
Fantastic.
Yes.
When you see Shankaracharya's life, he talks about this, people think brain, and a brain is not important. Brain, above that is the mind, you see. That is also not important. Above that is consciousness. So you have to level these three things. Those who use all these three in their efforts in life are the ones who become great.
Wonderful.
Shankaracharya, I say.
Wonderful.
So people, their brain, they look calculation, make money for Infosys. Narayan Murthy.
Yes, sir.
He doesn't like me.
Doesn't matter,
I
sir.
don't know. The reason I'm telling you is, it is just mechanical.
Yeah.
Become a machine.
Actually, I was very surprised, pleasant surprised. My son, who was doing computer science in REC Calicut, so one day he told me campus interview is taking place. Tomorrow I have to appear before the Infosys. Then I called him. Did you go for that recruitment? He said, no. I said, what happened? Who will go to Infosys? He said, that boy, not very brilliant. But even then he said that, no, I would like to do some original work rather than...
But Narayan Murthy was our student, and his wife was our student in the institute. But the thing is, people only talk about it. That's what I told in the recently in science meeting. Don't forget, Bangalore is not IT city, it is a science city.
Science city.
It is in India, it is a science city. Nobody talks about that.
Yes, yes.
They all say,
Raman and C.V. Raman and English science. Tao
I owe a lot to Raman, by the way, in my life.
Yes,
so I can tell you, nobody thinks of Raman.
So one of the greatest scientists India has ever produced is also C.V. Raman, again from Bangalore. Would you like to say something about your association with him and about his work?
Well, he was not only the greatest scientist, all his great work, even to get a Nobel Prize, he did when he was not even paid to do that. He was a accounts officer and accountant general of the British government.
Oh, sir.
In evenings he used to go somewhere and work.
I see.
And most of his honors came from for that type of work. Then after the Nobel Prize, he came to Indian Institute of Science
Yes, sir.
in Bangalore.
Yes, sir.
Well, I got to know him when I was very young. When I came back from America, somehow he took a liking for me. I used to use his laboratory once in a way.
Yes, sir.
And then when I wrote these 2 books,
Yes, sir.
one day I got a letter. I was 29 years old. Dear Dr. I have seen your 2 books. Anyone who can write this must be a member of the Indian Science Academy.
Oh, wonderful.
So at the age of 29, he
When was it, sir? Which year?
1963, 64.
63, 64.
63, 34. 1963 or 64.
Okay, okay.
I was just about 29,
Yes, sir.
30.
Yes, sir.
And he got me elected as a member of the Indian Academy of Sciences. But then he got to know him very well.
Yes, sir.
He was a very good man. If he liked you, he would do anything for you. He was a very tough master.
That's what is
not
said.
not easy to please him.
Yes, sir.
But what I will never forget is we celebrated his 80th birthday. I gave one of the lectures. After my lecture, I came all the way from Kanpur. It was in Ahmedabad.
Yes, sir.
Sarabhai had organized it. After my lecture, he came and hugged me.
Oh,
What a brilliant lecture you gave. You were a ball of fire. He told me, I was very young. And much later, a few months later, it was 1970, I will never forget that. He wrote to me to Kanpur, I to Kanpur, Dr. Rao, there is a meeting of the Indian Academy, you must come to Bangalore, give a lecture.
Yes, sir.
Came all the way to Bangalore,
Yes,
gave the lecture, he was in the front row.
Yes, sir.
After the lecture, we had a tea break. He went on saying, Dr. Rao, what bothers me, I'm now 80 years old, is that after so many years, after freedom, India is not on top of the world in science. I am very upset. No, I am now 86, I feel the same way.
Sir.
Why aren't you on top of the world? I will never forget him because I think he was an extraordinary man, did extraordinary things when there was nothing, no science.
Yeah.
It was extraordinary.
Yes, sir.
And he was, as I said, tough master. People misunderstood him because of that.
No, that, sir, brings me, maybe you can say something. In 60s you were doing some pioneering work. How is the atmosphere even now? I am told, sir, that Australia has about 100 Royal Society members and we have about 9.
8 or 9.
8 or 9. How is the atmosphere and how were you doing that work that time?
Well, this is where your way you think about problems. There is a very famous poem by William Frost.
Robert Frost. Sir.
Robert Frost. I'm sorry. I was going in the yellow woods.
Yes, sir.
I took the path less traveled by. I've always looked for a problem where there is no crowd. I create my own area.
Yes, sir.
And that is very, very important.
Yes, sir.
People work in very fashionable area where everybody is working.
Yes, sir.
So at most they will say, "Arey bhai, ye bhi kiya, kuch kiya hai." So I thought each way choice of the problem. Michael Faraday said that.
Yeah.
It is the choice of the problem that is important. Doing is easy, he said.
Oh, I see.
There is a very famous statement of Faraday.
Very wonderful.
There is some truth in that. So I've been very lucky in that. I started working in an area where there is nobody. Hardly 5 people in the world then.
Yes,
now it has become a very big area. Chemistry and materials is a big thing now.
Yes,
It is half of chemistry now,
Yes, sir.
half of physics as well.
Yes, sir.
But then it was not. So everyone thinks I am the grandfather of that subject. That is a different thing. So one has to be careful in what you do.
Sir, you have achieved so much. You have done so many things. Can I ask that what is that which given you the most satisfying moment? Can you say
The
something?
most satisfying 2 things. One is doing science, the main thing, and also teaching young people in IIT and everywhere.
Yes, sir.
And also I had an opportunity to do something for science in India. Well, I have been chairman of advisory council to 5 prime ministers.
Yes, sir.
And particularly 1 or 2 of them are outstanding people to work with.
Yes, sir.
Even Manmohan Singh, I must say, is very easy. We did a lot of things under Manmohan Singh.
Yes, sir.
So it is selfless work. I didn't take any money. I didn't take even a rank of any sort, though they offered me. So I think it has been a very wonderful thing to serve India in that capacity.
Yes, sir.
But most importantly, however, it is doing science that
satisfies
that is the one that gives.
Sir, for such a long period you have been in this field and so many new things and 1650 the citations, I mean the research papers. How do you get your inspiration or the good ideas and how it comes to you?
I've been very lucky. It is a very unusual virus, science.
I see.
If that gets you, it goes on and you can't quit. I mean, because what happens is you always are looking for something important, something new. And that is one thing. So more than that, you are not easily satisfied. You know, you're not say.
Yeah.
That is why I say the limitless ladder of excellence. That is what I talk
that's
about.
what you said.
That is what I say. I told you about music.
Yes, sir.
In spirituality, there is no end.
Yes, sir.
It goes on and
Yes,
you
sir.
keep trying.
Yes, sir. In nutshell, would you like to say what is your world view, what is your philosophy of life, sir?
Well, I think I really feel as one famous acharya of this country once long ago said, there are two worlds. One is the world of spirituality, which is very difficult.
Yes.
Other is the real world. In the real world, you must do things which are useful to the common man, and serve common people. That is very important.
Wonderful.
Through education,
Yes, sir.
through whatever you are doing,
Yes, sir.
it should be useful, it should be helpful,
Yes, sir.
and you should make lives of people better. I think that is the main thing I would like to mention.
That is your world view, sir. So, I mean your message to the youth today, sir?
Well, youth, unfortunately, they should not get discouraged. One thing in this world is anyone who has not given up has succeeded.
Yes, sir.
It is actually dedication and doggedness
Yes, sir.
and a little bit of tenacity.
Yes, sir.
In fact, I gave a lecture in IIT Bombay sometime about a year ago. There were 2,000 people in there. Somebody asked me, three only: doggedness, dedication, and what about intelligence? I assume you have some. So I'm not going to mention that. But look at the example of Gandhiji is there.
Yes, sir.
It is doggedness that got us our freedom. He would not give up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And his English, everything was very simple.
Yes, sir.
He never was afraid. No fear. In fact, Gandhiji said that, and so did Shankaracharya. You have to become in what you do in life.
Yes, sir.
You become fearless when you are selfless.
Yes, sir.
If you have a little bit of self, you can't be fearless. That is why in politics it is very difficult to be fearless. However, in science you can be fearless.
Yes, sir.
Do what you want
Yes, sir.
without any worry.
Yes.
Provided you are not afraid of doing things. You must. God has been very lucky. I have been very lucky. I say God has been very kind that I have tried to attack problems beyond my capability sometimes.
Sir, it has been wonderful talking to you, and I have enjoyed it
Thank you very much.
thoroughly, and I'm sure
Thank you.
that many people will get inspired.
Well,
by
I
it.
tell you one sentence before I go.
Yes, sir.
I want all the people to remember what I was trying to tell you about Bismillah Khan's.
Yes, sir.
Bismillah Khan, before he died,
Yes, sir.
I had seen him a few months earlier. He couldn't do too well. He was already too old.
Yes, sir.
Rao Sahab, bajana mushkil hai.
Yes.
All that he was saying. In the end, he was interviewed. आपके खान साहब, आप भगवान से क्या प्रार्थना करते हैं? And he said, नहीं कुछ नहीं, भगवान, as long as I am alive, let me be in the world of music.
Wow, wow, wow.
That is what he said.
Wonderful.
I feel exactly like that. We
Field of
should
science.
teach our children, our students, to be in this world of their science or whatever they are doing and not give up.
Calling.
And keep on doing that.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Namaste, madam.
Namaste.
We had a very interesting, invigorating discussion with Dr. Rao, and he's a well-known, world-famous scientist, and people know him as a scientist. But you are his life partner,
Yeah.
Ardhangini, as they say, and Ardhanarishwar, the other part of it. So, we would like from you, Dr. Rao, a family person. Would you say something?
Well, I have to start this story close to 60 years ago. We got married in 1960. We have
Okay.
been in another few months, 60 years we have been married.
Oh,
That's a long life journey.
Congratulations. Congratulations, ma'am.
And there was a, really, I came from a very laid back family. My father was one of the most relaxed people. He would say, if you didn't do it something today, don't worry, there's always tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay.
Married a man who was always in a hurry. He would say it should have been done yesterday or the day before yesterday. So this was a
But then
real
how,
change.
how did you adjust to the change?
No, it did
you
take
have to?
time. It did take time because he wouldn't slow down, and I had to pick up pace. So it did take time, and the best thing that we did was going away to Kanpur, far away from the comfort zone of parents and family.
Bangalore and parents. I see.
So there I had to, it's like throwing a person into the deep end in a pool. And I had to learn, and then learn very fast.
Quite difference, I mean, culture, food habits, everything.
No,
must
but
have been-
but in many ways it was an exciting campus. So that way it helped. All of us were almost similar age, and we had some kind of a dream. And personally speaking, I was, I by the time I got married, I was already in an MA in English, maybe honors and in English from Central College, and but very laid back about my degree and all that. I never thought it would be of much use. In fact, my family, all the girls were educated, even in the 1940s or 50s. They laid great emphasis on girls being educated, but not for work. We were not supposed to work.
Just to be
yeah.
educated, yes.
So that attitude carried on, but my husband said everything. You have to use what God has given you, and you have to use your intelligence. It's
That's
not
another way of
no
looking at it.
point in saying you're intelligent if you don't do anything. So that was like that, and the big change came over in 1967 when we were to go to Purdue. He was to go to Purdue on a sabbatical.
Yeah.
And he said, we are going there for a year, and nobody goes to university campus without taking advantage of the education there.
Right.
So I said, I don't even have my marks card. I was so indifferent to it. He said, don't worry, you'll sign on the dotted line, they'll leave the rest to me. So
Okay.
that's what he did. He wrote to Mysore University and said, she has lost her marks card, we need it urgently to. And I don't know how he pulled it off, but I did get admitted to
wonderful.
master's program there.
I see.
And that was another wonderful experience. The best thing there was they were all very curious to see whom my husband had married.
Oh, right.
He said, who has married this dynamo and stayed married to him? So they'll be surprised. to
I
know
did
which-
ask him this question. He didn't say much about it.
Well, we had to find a common speed, you see.
Yeah.
So that did work out, and wonderful. Then I got my master's in education there from Purdue University, and then we came back, and at IIT Kanpur, they wanted me to work there. He is very far-sighted. Even when we were, he's an excellent mentor. Even when we were in Purdue, he said, don't major in English, because nobody is interested in learning English. You can't teach the love of English or reading to others. So you take in education in English. That will be very useful.
Right, right.
And I did in education, educational psychology and English. So that was a wonderful combination as it proved. Then when we came back also, he said, don't take up a job at IIT Kanpur, because if you do, being my wife, they will, even if you don't do anything, they will say, she's tolerated because she's his wife. And if you do anything also good, they will ignore it. They will say, she's not done much, then it's all hype. So that is when I started working with disadvantaged children. And I've carried it on for 56 years now. I started with, these were first generation learners. He gave me total support, and he has mentored me through the thing and education and looking at the wider world and what we have and what others don't have.
And how to help.
Yeah, how to help, have an empathy.
Yeah.
And
very important.
one thing that has really made me very happy is neither of us care for money.
Wonderful.
That has helped us.
Yeah, money is just a
Money,
tool to do
yeah,
something.
Yeah, but it is a very bad virus to have. No matter how much you have, you want more. Best is not to you should wonder what am I going to do with it. So that's what we have been, and he has done that so unobtrusively.
No.
People know him as a great scientist, but he is, I always call him a renaissance man.
Yeah, we saw music on
He
side.
is a great music connoisseur.
Yeah.
He has what is called khandan with all the musicians. Like when he got the Bharat Ratna, the first one to call was Amjad Ali.
Oh.
Amjad Ali Khan called and said, Professor Ram, aapko badai. And then, we are so happy you have joined our community. And like this, they're on almost first name basis, and they never say no when he invites.
That's very nice. So these artificial boundaries of science and music, they fields are there, not really boundaries. They should be boundaries.
Actually, science or any work, any passion that you pursue is the same. Like in music, you do riyaz. Hours together you do riyaz, days together, months together. In science, it is the same. In the outreach programs, it is the same. That commitment is the same for any field if you want to excel. He always quotes two stories about musicians. One is Alauddin Khan, you must have known him, I'm sure you have heard of his name. He just before he died, somebody asked him, Khan Sahab, aapne to itne saalon se music sikha rahe, you're singing. What have you learned? So he said, itne saalon ke baad, thodi raag to samajh liya.
That is the
extent
of commitment.
Which you go.
But, ma'am, does he take any household work?
No, I don't want him to do. But he's an excellent chef.
I see. What is his specialty?
He does only exotic food.
Oh, I see.
But, like French and anything like. He's
so
one
he
of
does
those.
take, he has.
He is an exotic cook and he's a chef. And nowadays, just the three of us are there. Almost alternate Saturdays, he gives us a fantastic meal. But the only thing is, the kitchen has to be like an operating theatre. Vegetables have to be cut in a particular fashion. For each dish, you have to do it. When the Chinese is different, something else is different. And then you have to order place it in the order, he's going to put it in the pan.
It's like a research paper.
Oh yes, exactly. And then you have to have implements arranged like a surgeon's table.
Right.
It's great fun for him and me. But those who prepare it, I have to warn them in advance. He's going to cook in the evening.
Wonderful. That's wonderful.
So he's that, and he's a great family man. In the 60 years,
nice to hear that.
for all his achievements, he has never ever brought work home.
Oh, that's
Never ever gone back to the lab.
Okay.
Once he is home,
he's
home. But that doesn't mean he doesn't think of it.
Yes.
His mind works 24/7, by 365 days, but he doesn't let the others know about it. So he's a great favorite with grandson and great granddaughter, and he's a great family.
How communication is good with such
very,
a
very,
generation
very,
gap,
very.
but how he manages it?
You see, like Karthik, our grandson, grew up with us. Ram and myself are both great readers, and we listen to music together and all that. So we were able to, luckily, we were able to pass it on to him. So there's no generation gap.
Oh,
Our
wonderful.
great-granddaughter
That's
is
very nice
4
to
years
hear.
old. She calls him. She called the day before yesterday, and she's coming next week. She said, Ram Tata, I want a party every day.
Oh, I see. So that freedom is, that's very nice to hear.
Yeah.
That's very nice
He's a
to hear.
total
That's such
family man.
A great scientist, and then
And,
it's not only researching in chemistry. His chemistry with the family
No.
members.
His chemistry with people itself is wonderful.
Yeah, that is.
He relates to people very easily. Even when we go to eat in a restaurant, the first thing he does is ask the person's name, where the person, I mean the person who serves. So you treat each one individually as people,
Very nice.
not somebody who's
Very
puts-
nice. These
So
are
we-
the things one must know about.
Yeah, like for example, when we go, for example, if we go to Ashok for dinner, we know everyone who serves us there. So we first thing we ask is, how are you doing? How was your day? How was your this thing? So that puts you in a immediately
Yes,
bond
yes,
making.
Yes. You so
Mode.
actually I forgot, but the answer I got the answer. There was no time to ask. He has such a vast span and must be vast relationships, from professional as a personal in his work and all that. And we have seen that relationships can make and mar any life, any
Yeah,
career, and how has he managed? But now I got the answer that how he
You
has
see, like
managed.
for example, when professional people and our colleagues have been very, very gracious in celebrating his, landmark years, let's say, when he got Bharat Ratna, or recently 85th year birthday and all that. People from all over the world attended. People, friends, they never refuse. And even, for example, musician, if anybody approaches him, this is him or her, this is for Professor Rao, they will say, we will come. Nobody ever refuses. He has that kind of rapport with people. That is a great gift which he has. So.
It has been wonderful meeting both of you the same day, ma'am, and our good wishes and for your good health, both
Thank
of
you so much.
and God's grace. Thank you very much for talking.
I wanted to just remind you, you made a comment in where I was sitting working, that that cliche, every man
yeah.
has a woman, but this man doesn't need this woman, but this woman needs that man.
Okay. Thank you very
So,
much. ma'am.
thank
you very
you.
much, ma'am.